start this video and I'm going to start inviting people into the live. I'm super excited to be here, to see you, to talk to you. It's been a while. I let too much time lapse, but I'm here now, and I have a message for my white friends that I would like to share with you all. So if you just bear with me while I invite some people over. I have both of the cameras on me so that this video can make it on over to YouTube. And if you will, just bear with me. But if you're in here and you're an equity advocate and you believe in sharing good information, go ahead and share this video with your friends, because this is going to be a really serious and intense, quick conversation. So if you're in here, say hey girl, hey, let me know that you're here. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Aisha Adams, and I am the blogger behind Nappy Thoughts. I am the founder of Aisha Adams Media Group and Equity Over Everything, and I am the program developer of the Lenore Ryan Equity and Diversity Institute, and I am so happy to be here. Hey Adam, it's good to see you. I really miss seeing you at our events. Hi Valerie. Hey Kaninsky. Glad to see you. So I wanted to just say, like, I never am speaking for the entire race of Black people, that I can only speak for myself, and that these videos are here for me to communicate with the people that I love. I typically don't post these on my brand pages. It's because these are for my friends. These are for the people that I travel with, like Adam, and I have to borrow things from when it's time to do a presentation, or when I am having, these are the people I have lunch with, and the people that are in community with me all the time, and the people that I love. So that's what this video is about. And this is what I want you to know about your equity work and your anti-racism work, right? So first of all, I want you to know that I'm grateful. I am grateful for the fact that I have you in my community, and that you care enough not just about me, but about yourself and your children and your community, that you want to have the world to be a better place. So that's the first thing I want to say. Is like, I appreciate you. I thank you for your service and for your dedication to our community and your willingness to jump in and to make things right. So that's the first thing I want you to know, is that I'm grateful and that there's gratitude. The second thing I want you to know and understand is that this is dangerous work, and that I understand that it's dangerous work. And I want to make sure that you understand that this is dangerous work. You know, I've read stories of women and men who loved each other of different races, and it caused them to be shut out from their families. It caused people to be harmed. So this is not light work. This is not send a check and it's all over work. This is not superficial work. It's deep work. It's dangerous work. And it is the work of humanity. And so it's heavy work. And so I want to just share that, like, I recognize that this is dangerous work. So when you are sitting in an all-white space and you are advocating for equity, that you risk being shut out from that group. You risk some things. And so I want you to know that that risk is something that I appreciate, but it's also something that I want you to be prepared for. And in order to prepare you for that, I feel like that you have to really, truly be an equity advocate. And that doesn't mean that you need to understand all the things it means to be a Black woman. Doesn't mean that you have to be, super woke and know all of the books and have seen all the movies and read all the essays and heard all the lectures. It doesn't mean that. It just means that you have to really want to advocate and advance equity. you really have to want to bring it into a space. And so the first thing that you have to do is start with you. And so in my process of becoming an equity advocate, because even as a Black woman, before I truly understand what it meant to be an equity advocate, I worked against myself. So that's the real, right? Because the patriarchy and white supremacy is so heavy, and it provides such a shield and a glaze that as a Black woman, until I learned to advocate and what it meant to be an equity advocate, I worked against myself, right? So what do I mean by that? I mean that I thought it was okay to create processes that weren't equitable in my work. But if I'm going to be an equity advocate in my work, in my process, I don't need my boss's permission to have a process that is equitable for everybody, right? I don't need to, I need to make sure that when I set something up, when I do something, that I'm doing it in a way that I give voice and ownership to people who work with me, that I respect their boundaries, that I don't use the tools that white supremacy used against me, right? Against them. And so instead of like my work being about teaching you about like the history of what it means to be an African American person and how we got here, or instead of trying to explain culture to you, because that's not what I do. I'm here, and the Lenore Ryan Diversity, Equity, and Diversity Institute is here to show you how to be an equity advocate, how to put equitable practices into your own work, how not to look outside of yourself to make the change right now. But if I'm a marketing person, do I really know how to put together an equitable marketing strategy? If I'm a small business owner, do I really know how to do that thing, right? If I am a teacher, do I really know where to pull diverse, culturally competent content and how to do it in a way that still helps me meet my standards? Like, those are the sort of questions that we're asking. We're not asking you to, I'm just asking you, are you an advocate? Like, do you really know how to do that? When you set up your podcast and you get your guests, do you really know how to get, enough guests? And what indicators are the indicators of diversity, right? Like, it's not necessarily, do you have all the answers? Sometimes advancing equity could be asking a question. Sometimes advancing equity might not be having the answer, right? It might be asking a question. It might be making a statement that provokes other statements. This work is really deep and it's really heavy. And this isn't about like, can you atone for, what your ancestors did? Or even, are you ready to be, in the forefront and lead a movement? That's not what your equity work is about. That's not what your anti-racism work should be about. It should be like, anytime I have the power to create something, am I creating it equitably? And when I'm in groups, am I making sure the groups that I am are hearing equity? And am I pushing it to the forefront in a professional, demoralizing, non-destructive way? Am I pushing it forward in a way that makes it better for everybody? Because I believe that diversity, equity, inclusivity is not just good for Black people, it's good for everybody. I believe that if you learn these tools and these strategies, not just that it's going to be better for Black people, but we're going to have better worlds, right? We're going to have better communities, have better processes and systems. And this is really about you. And this is the beginning steps, like developing, becoming, and developing a community around being an equity advocate. It's really not about how many hours you can do, and how many marches you can lead, and how many petitions you can have people sign. Like, I promise you, we have amazing Black community organizers that can do that. This is about in your daily work. In your daily work, when you have when you go to your church or your place of worship, when you look around you, do you see Black people? And if not, do you know the questions to ask, the systems and the processes to put in place to get more Black people at your church, right? To have more Black people engage in your business, to have more LGBTQ people engage into your business, to have more handicapped people engage into your business? Are you inviting all people to the table in a respectful way, in an inclusive way? And do you know how to do that? So this is not, and I get a lot of calls, it's like, oh, how is this different for REI? Like, to me, when you are learning the historical parts of the African American struggle, that's sacred, and you need REI too. When you, people have called me and asked me, like, how's your work different from Desiree's work? Desiree is one of my mentors. That's my girl. She's amazing. And when she talks to you about taking white culture to work, and when she talks to you about, like, how you behave and like, that's important, and you need that class too. And I think Miss Betty Council has a class, and you need that class too, because this is a life work. This is work. This is like how long we've been saving the whales work. This is life work, you guys. This is about when you are in your home and it's time to be equitable with your kids. What strategies do you use in the classroom, because you're going to be homeschooling, right? Because your kids aren't all the same, even though they came from the same mama and daddy, or even if they didn't come from the same mama and daddy, or same mommy and mommy, or daddy and daddy, like however it happened, however the tea was spilled, it doesn't matter. What I'm asking you is, when it comes to having your 2 or 3 kids in the room, can you be equitable, or are you just picking? Right? Do you understand what it means? You have strategies when you're at the poker game, and you go into these poker games and there's 6 men there all the time, and you've never seen a person of color. Do you know the questions to ask, and the processes and the systems and things that you can put in place to make sure that people understand you? Are you learning how to connect in a community of people that don't look like you, sound like you? In your small business, are you getting patrons from all backgrounds? Does everybody feel represented and talked to? It's so funny to me, because as a business coach, when I talk to people are always saying, like, I'm like, who's your audience? And everybody says, oh, I want to reach everybody. And although we know that we can't reach everybody, it's always very interesting to me when we narrow that target audience down, how deep people are willing to go. Because when I say women, do you think about women in wheelchairs? When I say women, do you think about Black women? Do you think about Indian women? Do you think about Asian women? Right? So it's like, we have to learn to go deep, and we have to learn what are the best practices to do that. How do we show up and do that work? That is what I want you to know. It's like, it starts with you, that it's dangerous work, that it's a deep work, it's a life work, and you need as many classes as you can get. So you need to read as many books as you can read. But it starts with you just being able to advance equity in your little corner of the world, in your home, in your workplace, in your processes. Whenever you have a leadership role in a group, are you ready to advance equity? Are you ready really to do that? Do you have some tools for that? Do you understand even how to start that? If not, you should join me over at the Lenore Ryan Equity and Diversity Institute. You can continue to watch these videos, but it's just a real question for you. And I hope I'm not off base here, and I can't wait to hear your responses below, because, at the end of the day, if all of us were being equitable in our everyday practices, we'd have more equity in our overall systems and processes as a government, because people would be bringing that into their homes and into their jobs. And so I really just want to make sure that you're ready to start with yourself. Are you ready to start with you? Are you ready to be an equity advocate? Are you ready to push forward the work of all people having ownership and space at the table, a voice at the table? Like, are you ready for that? Or are we just going to continue to play the performing systematic change? Are we going to continue just to sit up and talk about things that don't help us to change, right? So I think, like, you need all of these classes, because it's been 400 years of oppression, and even more years. It's like, it's deep. This whole thing is so deep. You need all the classes. You need to pick the ones that resonate with you the most, and then you need to pick some of them that make you feel uncomfortable so you can grow, right? And I'm excited that we have a culture and an economy around equity here, and I'm excited that you're a part of that. And so I want to again just say thank you again for even trying. Because again, there's a risk that is involved in this. This is not for suckers. This is not for the weak at heart. These are for people who really want to do something with their life and really want to make a substantial change. And so I'm excited to be in community with so many change makers, so many disruptors, so many wonderful people who are ready to shift our community. And I appreciate you. And I'm just asking you really to think about it. Are you an equity advocate? Do you advance equity? How does it show up in your work? How does it show up in your home? Right? How does it show up in your Netflix list? How do you really do it? So I'm here for the comments. I can't wait to hear more from you. Thank you again for being here with me, and I'll be back if you guys think these videos are relevant. If y'all tired of me, let me know. Bye.